this last week, there was an altercation near the Palace Station and someone lost their life. The following day, there was 2 arrests for, it was a male and a female, boyfriend-girlfriend couple. The facts about the guy are he had recently been released, from prison.
I mean, the guy arrested.
Yeah, the guy arrested for the murder. He had been recently released from prison. And at some point in the night, he got in possession of a firearm. And they're trying to say that possibly the girlfriend gave it to him, whatever, but he had got into a verbal altercation with someone at a fast food place or convenience store, something like that. And this is public details that were released by Metro. And then there was a foot chase involved. And at some point, the guy being chased turns around and fires a weapon, fires a gun at the person, and that person passes away.
Right, okay. So just to recap, there's an altercation with somebody who's just been released from prison.
Yep.
The end of that altercation seems to be the person released from prison is running away.
Running away. He's retreating. Yep.
In some form, some fashion. And then at some point, while he is retreating and the other person is pursuing,
Correct.
The person who's just been released from prison turns around and shoots the person pursuing him.
Yeah, correct.
Okay. And beyond that, not a whole lot of information is being released, other than the charges for murder were dropped.
Yep. So they get arrested, murder, conspiracy to murder, ex-felon possession of a firearm, ex-felon concealing a firearm,
right.
And then the female was arrested for the murder, the conspiracy to murder, and transferring or selling a firearm to a convicted person.
Right.
A day or 2 after they get arrested, these charges disappear. So I make an update in the group, in the page, that the murder charges have been dropped. And the page lights up with fire the DA, this is corruption, this is now we're turning into California, all this, there's 100 different ways that the DA's office gets attacked here, when in all reality, like I said, and you look in the public record, there was no fancy attorney hired, there was no big attorney's office hired.
So the suspect had made his first appearance.
Correct.
Okay, so a DA was already involved.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, listen.
And it says in the thing, DA denial was the verbiage.
Yes.
DA denial, those charges go
So let's
away.
talk for a second about how these charges happen.
Yeah.
Okay, so in my experience, and I've never worked at the DA's office. I myself have never been a public defender.
Yeah.
But I do have to deal with it occasionally. And so what happens is the DA's office has told me that they will take charges. So the procedure is the police investigate. The police will send up charges to the DA, and the DA will decide what charges to bring.
Yeah.
And if it is not recommended by the police, like if the police don't send the case to the DA, I've been told by the DA or by somebody in the DA's office that it's their policy, they don't take it up. Like the police have to refer it. Now, whether that's universally true or not, I don't really know. That's just what I've been told. Now, once the DA has it, they have to evaluate because they have duties. If they are good at what they're doing and if they're true to their calling, and I think most of them try to be, they've got a duty to the public to prosecute those things that are worthy, to protect the public. They have a duty to the court system to not waste the court's time. They have a duty to the defendant. And I know people don't think that, but they have a duty to the defendant to only bring plausible charges. Now, they also have some self-interest in not wanting to lose. I know we say that. They only want a good record. And while there is some truth to that, I don't know that is as driving as a motivation as we see in Hollywood.
Yeah.
So what very possibly happened here, and I don't have inside information, but what very possibly happened here is the DA looked at it, they reviewed the file, they saw the evidence that the police gave them, and they looked and said, I don't think that it's very likely that we're going to be able to prove beyond a reasonable doubt that this person committed murder. Because murder, there are very specific elements that they have to prove in front of them.
Especially when they added the conspiracy charge, like on top of it.
Right.
Yeah.
And so they may look at that and say, listen, we don't think that has a high likelihood of success in front of a jury. We think that that is maybe a drain and a waste of public resources because we don't think it's going to succeed in front of a jury. And so let's go get the thing that we think we can get, which would be, in this case, ex-felon in possession of a firearm.
Yeah, that's factual. Like, we have that. Yeah.
Right. They look at it and say, we know we can win that, but there's enough self-defense aspect after of this story. And listen, the other thing that people don't realize, that people forget, it's really easy to be an internet warrior, or a keyboard warrior.
Yeah.
And we get that a lot. But the keyboard warrior hasn't seen the evidence file.
No, none of these people have. Like, that's my point. Like, and if you had, you wouldn't be saying the crazy stuff.
And listen, maybe it's true. I have no idea. I haven't seen it either.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe all the crazy conspiracy theories are true, but I don't think they are.
Yeah, I mean,
and I don't have a reason to believe them.
I thought it was interesting because I was in the bail bond business for 20 years. And countless times, a year, you go to post a bond, like, oh no, the DA's denying the charges. Okay. And I leave.
Right.
I look into that. Why did this happen? Okay, well, the DA said there wasn't enough evidence to go forward with these charges.
Right.
Okay, fine. I didn't get paid that day. Like, I didn't get to post my bond. So it happens a lot more than people think. And it's not some big conspiracy. It wasn't like I said, these people had a public defender at their first appearance. They didn't hire some big attorney. I don't think the DA got a new Porsche out of this. I just feel like...
Listen, if there ever is a time where the DA were to get a Porsche out of something like that, that DA needs to be arrested.
Of course.
But, and I have no reason to believe that has ever happened with our DA.
Yeah.
I really, truly believe that while no public office is perfect, and while you can always place criticisms on what people do and their motives and whether you agree with their motives or not agree with their motives, I think that the vast majority of our civil servants, including the DA, try to do a good job.
Yeah.
And again, you can individually criticize this decision or that decision, but globally, I think they try to do a good job.
Yeah.
And so, the fact that they choose not to prosecute one person for murder, there may be very, very good reasons for that.
Yeah, and there's, again, like you said, like the waste of public resources. It's going to cost the taxpayers a bunch of money to go for no reason.
And we have limited resources.
Yeah.
Like, we have a limited number of DAs, and those DAs have a limited capacity. And so they do have to pick and choose.
Yeah.
And so, you can say that, they really should have prosecuted this one. And, maybe they should have.
Yeah.
Again, I don't know the individual facts.
Yeah.
But I do know that they've seen the file and I haven't.
That's my point.
And unless what you're seeing is, every once in a while you'll see a story of a DA standing up and saying, we have decided to deal with crime in a different way. We've decided that we're going to focus not so much on convictions, but on rehabilitation. Or, we think that this demographic is being unjustly prosecuted generally. And so we're going to choose not to prosecute that demographic as much anymore. And those things, I think that you can have a rigorous public policy discussion about whether that's appropriate or not appropriate. And that's a good political discussion about whether that's something that we as a society want that DA to do or not. But when you're looking at it, but when you don't have statements like that, and then you're just looking at an individual case and saying, I think that goes against my political paradigm, maybe it does, but I doubt that you have enough information to even know if that truly goes against your political paradigm.
Oh, the keyboard warriors want this DA fired. And they're out for blood on this. Sure. And again, it's a horrible thing. Obviously someone died, and that's always.
And if I were the family of the person that died, I may justifiably have those same feelings.
Correct.
And that would be okay for me to have those feelings.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean that me as an unattached observer am going to come to the conclusion that he ought to be fired. They made a choice based on information I don't have.
Yeah, for me, it's just the DA doing normal DA stuff. This is the workflow and like this is what they deal with, and it's a hard decision. Someone died here, and this is the decision we're making, and that's what we're doing.
Right, and you can
and
sit
they're
here
confident
and think,
in it.
and you can sit here and think that maybe they'd have a chance in front of a jury.
Yeah,
and maybe they would, but if the DA took to the finish line every case that they have a chance of,
yeah,
I mean, again, you wouldn't be able to. If the goal is to prosecute crime,
yeah,
that would not be a good way to prosecute crime because you would run out of resources.
yeah. But these people that are out for blood, they're just upset people.
Sure.
And I think they'd be upset if they lost if it went to trial and they lost, they'd want to fire the DA. You know what I mean? If this happened, they shouldn't have arrested the wrong guy in the first place. They arrested an innocent man, fired the DA. So either way, they want the DA fired. So it's one of those things where they're just mad people.
It's an easy focal point.
Right? It's an easy way to just be mad and be mad out loud and be mad in public. And I think it comes down to like you get this group of people that they're just mad at everything in public. And I see the names. They're the repeat offenders. I see the names, and they're mad at every time I make a move on the page, they're mad. Every time we post something on the page, they're mad.
Right.
Oh, this and that. This and that. Why is it this? Why isn't it that? Why are you saying it like, well, that's what happened? And then I got like a bunch of people inboxing me about, accusing me of my political stance. I'm like, listen, man, I'm just posting the facts of what happened here locally.
You're right. And it may very well be that you would never vote for this DA.
Yeah.
But regardless, whether or not you would vote for him doesn't change the idea that, he has a job to do.
Yeah.
And, they look at the file and they don't think that this is the right case to prosecute.
I'm gonna follow this case. Like I've taken this case I don't know these people involved on a personal level. I know their names, I know the case. The case caught my eye because of the DA denial. And I thought, oh, that's interesting. Let's follow it through. So anything that I'm gonna update that post on, I'm gonna keep it going. But I kind of just wanted to tap in on that and I know we'll never shut him up. I know that's not going to be a thing.
But what are they saying? That the DA likes murder?
Oh, come on. This is crazy. The corruption, fire the DA. This is now California.
Okay,
There's no justice.
Sure. But and again, it makes not a whole lot of sense to actually go down the rabbit hole and address the individual keyboard warrior statements. But let's talk about that for a second. This is corruption. How?
What's the
corruption.
Benefit?
Yeah. What would be the benefit to the DA are you suggesting that, as you said, there was a new Porsche involved?
Yeah.
I mean, what evidence do you have of that? And not only what evidence, what suspicions do you have?
Yeah.
Or are you just, you like the word corruption?
They love it.
I think that's more,
They
like the word corruption.
It's very provocative.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, think about the fact pattern. Now, listen, if what you have is a super rich billionaire and we have video of him committing a murder and all of a sudden it's dropped, maybe at least you could come up with a fact pattern that would make sense about corruption. But you have an ex-felon who has a public defender and they drop the charges. What's the fact pattern on corruption?
Yeah. I mean,
we're not becoming California.
There's very high profile cases in this town. DUI with deaths, there's a couple of them. The Raiders guy, he went to prison.
Right.
There was another guy, I won't mention his name, but there was another high profile one. And that guy's in prison now. Like and his family's one of the wealthiest families in town.
Right.
So I mean, like, what are you going for here? And there's, they just did, the other day there was a big fire in North Las Vegas. What do you think was in all the comments? It was a big commercial, like apartment building being built. Oh, insurance job, insurance scam. Like why do you jump there? Like why, and because you're so dead set on it.
Because it's fun.
Yeah.
It's fun to look at something and pick an exciting but not plausible or not likely fact pattern and say, well, that's it.
Yeah. And then then they come out with on that fire, right? Like not to jump away from the thing, but it's down the same path of the comments, what people say in public and stuff. They come out with the reason for the fire. Oh, there was it was a mechanical issue, a piece caught. Oh, well, that's just what they're saying now. And that professional job, they didn't get caught. You're not satisfied with anything. You are I want to see your Yelp account and see how many good reviews you've given restaurants, not to the bad ones.
Everything is a good Hollywood movie.
Everything, right? Everything. So that's kind of it. I just wanted to touch base and just let people know, like, there is a process.
Well, it's one of those things also. And, I was in trial about a month ago with Judge Williams. And one of the pieces of advice that Judge Williams gave the jury is, you hear a jury come out with a verdict, and then it gets into the press and people say, "Are you kidding me? The jury did what?" Well, the person who is reading the paper and says, "Are you kidding me? The jury did what?" They likely have only read the headline.
Oh, yeah.
And they haven't even read the body of the article.
Yeah.
And in the body of the article, that body of the article does not fairly represent the 3 or 4 weeks that jury sat and looked at the actual evidence. And so Judge Williams is telling this jury, listen, you need to not be afraid. A jury needs to be bold and do the right thing without worrying what the headlines are going to say and what other people are going to think. And that is also true for the DA. The DA has to be bold about
That's a good point.
Not worrying, and all the assistant DAs and all the people in that office, they need to be bold and not worry what the headlines say. Now, that may be hard, and there may be times where they actually do worry about that, because there is a political reality to the practice of law and the practice of law as a representing the public.
Yeah.
But that is still true, that you have to pursue the truth and not worry about what the headlines say. And maybe this is an example where somebody actually was being bold and following the evidence and not caring what the headlines say.
That's a good point. I like it. Jared, thank you so much for providing insight on that, because like I said, it just gets under my skin a little bit, not too much, but it does get there, and it's like, you can't control the masses, and I'm all for freedom of speech, but come on, guys, a little bit of education.
Right.
Just figure it out. Thank you, Jared.
Absolutely.